Hello, group. It is Free for All Friday, our 77th time, and you know that we're not really starting until 7 p.m., so we have 7 minutes for those questions that came in at the last minute, like this one that came from Kim Ross, who said, "Oh man, my rose appears to have died. It was a hard winter on roses." There it is. She said, "Should I cut it back?" Yes. If they look dead now, or if they're leaping out only weekly, cut them back to where there's strong growth coming at the base. I can see way down here leaves coming at the base. Cut them down. Let it come back from really strong growth. If it's a climber rose like this one is, it's not going to bloom this year. You're just going to train in the new branches, but those guys are not going to do anything. I've got a heck of a lot of stuff still to cut down here. The Kyria, the Lindera, the sweet shrub, the beauty berries that died back. They said no. Even and some of those are native plants. It was a strange winter for a lot of things. So if it's not looking good by now, cut it back, and take a good few minutes to pat yourself on the back for how beautiful things look this year that you got going. Especially if you planned them for a long time. This is a bed at my son and daughter-in-law's house that we did a long time ago. They had to have the entire front yard dug up for a new septic field. So we put in this bed for them. And the bed was intended to be a low maintenance bed with flowers in, see the color here and there? With flowers just as filler until 1, 2, 3, and they started as just little bitty dinner plate sized junipers filled in. So that bed went from this color, got 3 and 4 and 5-year-old kids that are enjoying the color, and you go out there with them and pluck flowers. And now it looks like this. Just let the flowers go as time goes on. Now that is one heck of a low maintenance garden now. Now it just needs mulch in the middle. And we do get some complaints from my son, who we thought we were giving a blue and gold garden to by letting loose the sedum angelina in with the blue rug juniper. And he doesn't like the yellow mixed in with the blue. So, well, it's going to have to wait a little while longer before it finishes squeezing that out. But if you've succeeded in some of your plans, rejoice in them now, because now is the time to do it. Now is the time to look and say, it's beautiful out there, it's gorgeous, things are lively and lovely, and there's stuff to discover. So go out there and discover and have some fun. Are there questions that anybody's got that we haven't dealt with by emailing each other or texting each other? We have a few things lined up to go quickly through and leave you with text to help you out. But
yeah, it looks like you got the audio solved with John.
Yep.
Uh, my Drummond's Peak creeping flax are gorgeous, tree says.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
We do have dates that we're working on now, a couple set and a couple just about to be set for those design workshops. You can watch our design calendar, workshop calendar page on the website. If you want to come and help see what it's like to lay out a bed, figure out how big it is, where it goes, which things that you've put on your list can go in and how many of them, then Nancy and David Randall are opening their yard on June 13th, that's a Saturday, and June 15th, that's a Monday. On the 13th, we'll wave our hands and move pots around and play with where we would put things, and on Monday, do the planting.
Sorry, but make sure that you've got an easy mowing line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Says the guy who did all the mowing for 49 years and turned it over to me last year. And now
Not by choice.
Yeah, but now I understand. Only now do I understand.
Now you get it, right?
I do not know why this man did not divorce me over impossible to mow edges over so many years, because I did not make my beds with any consideration of his poor mowing routine at all. Not at all. Now I fight with it myself. Well, let's see. Sign cost, more line, seed viable. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Everything but suggestions for Margie. Margie, if you're here, I don't have suggestions yet for your trees. We're actually getting questions from neighbors about trees.
Tree says ivory soap worked like a charm on the boxwood moss. Thanks.
We were talking about boxwood tree moths last Friday, and I actually put them back in again this time because I found that you got to really douse them with that soap. to get them to kill, because I had one still wiggling around a little while later, which we don't really want to have happen, but we can go into that a little bit later. Thanks, Teresa, for letting us know. What do you think, Steve? 7 o'clock, should we start?
Yep.
Yep.
Good evening and welcome to Free4All Friday. All gardeners are welcome. Come celebrate growing and cultivate problem solvings with myself, Stephen Nicola.
And I'm Janet Makanovich, and this is the 77th time that we've opened up to whoever wants to be here to ask questions or talk or just enjoy not being rolled, having eyes rolled at you by your family who doesn't want to hear any more about that cool bug you found out in the garden. We're coming to you from gardenatoc.org. We are inside taking care of it right now, but we're outside a lot because we love to garden, and we gardened for 40 years professionally, and have written professionally about gardening for, well, since 1988. Yeah, I think that's right about then. This week we were out with the kiwi vine. Give me half a reason to understand, half a chance to understand this, and I might become a super person. But so many things died back, and usually kiwi vine gets killed back. And the part that gets killed back is the part that was going to flower. This year, the darn plant is flowering like crazy, and it smells nice. You got to get your nose under it. See those little flowers, and they're hanging down. They're just like they're sugared honey. They're just a wonderful smell. But who knows what it is with the year? And we find out more of that if we each talk about what we see to other people who care about it, which is why we started the website, just to have a place to put the things that we've written for all these years so that we could write new stuff, or in the case as we've been doing for the last going on 7 years, more videos and this kind of recording that people can take a look at. We put them up on our site. The articles are there. They're indexed by season. The recordings of the Free4All Fridays and our webinars that are free are there, and our webinars for our members are in there on their special page, and those are also there with a whole what do you call it, table of contents index, so that you can find items that you want to find in there. And we'll hope that you'll use that, because it lets us keep talking to more people, because the more we talk to, the more we say, God, we are never going to know all of this stuff, not ever. And it's only by talking to other people who actually do it, as opposed to just theorize about it, that we really learn the most. So tell people about Free4All Fridays. Tell them to just go to our Fridays page. On that page, we keep the link, and the next date, it's not, we now know that the next date's May 29th, but the link is there so that people can just go and click the link. Those that are...
And even if the date's wrong, the link is right.
Yep. And those people who have asked to be on our subscription list, you used to get our newsletters, and now you'll get our reminders and invitations to Free4All Friday, to free webinars, or if you're a webinar subscriber, to the webinars that are coming up. So were there any questions that came in?
No hands up or no questions in chat.
We're going to miss this cute little flower. It's a sandwort. Mountain sandwort, Antonaria montana, and a little bitty Aruncus athusifolius. They're so cute. That guy's only about, what, 8 inches high, Steve?
Oh, if that. Yeah. He's a definite throwback fish.
Yeah, he's cute. We'll keep him. Okay, so we're doing a special everything at once, because that's the way it happens on Memorial Day. Everything's happening at once, and it's got to keep happening at this rate. And we invited a special friend, John Keast, who for years has run the South Lyon Garden Club. Well, I shouldn't say run it, but been one of the major movers and shakers in it. Worked in the landscape department at keeping the school's grounds for South Lyon as a master gardener, and he's bringing his information about straw bale gardening, which we're very interested in. So we're going to whiz through the questions that we've been getting this week. We've put them up in a different manner than we usually do, where the words that we would say are written out, so that you can just come back and say, what was that they told us to do about that particular issue? It's written on the screen. So starting with, it's Memorial Day, it's still spring, designed now for leaf color and variation in plants, texture and color in the spring. You don't need you don't need flower. The flower is secondary in that combination. It's the big leaf of the big leaf aster next to the smaller leaves of the green and gold and the dwarf Solomon seal, and the difference in height and texture with it and the geranium in the background. That's what makes the picture. what you want are healthy plants that look good for those reasons. These are woolly thyme, golden thyme, curly chives right next to the edge of the road. That's the gravel on the edge of an asphalt road, and a purple leaf penstemon. I mean, who needs flowers in that? They're just icing on the cake, and they'll come at various times during the year. Because, I mean, come on, is that gorgeous or what? Look at that yew. Just look at how lush those colors are. And there are people all over pulling the ripcord on their power trimmers, trimming all that new stuff off. This guy is a yew that was in front of our house when we moved into this house, and I dragged it around back, and after 3 years it had begun to loosen up out of the little cute little meatball that somebody pruned it into, and now look at it. It's like a wedding dress laid out in all directions. I mean, just this is what we want to do, is pay attention for those things in the right places. And where we can enjoy things like toad lily, it's not going to bloom until September, maybe October. But why is it toad lily? Because it's all spotted like a toad's back is. And there are lots of gingers. People have said how much they like our wild ginger. We have Acerem canadense, our wild kind of fuzzy leaf ginger. This is Acerem shuttleworthyi, one of the Appalachian gingers. Again, it's not one of the ones that you cook with. The tropical gingers are not hardy for us, but isn't that pretty? And isn't it a cool, very cool combination with variegated Solomon seal? And Steve noticed, first, I put Bath's pink carnation, or pink, Dianthus Bath's pink, out with our perennial lupin, thinking that they would both make nice, low spring bloomers. Steve noticed that, and you'll see it again later, that the flower buds, this dark purple, goes wonderfully with the lupin. But when they open to pink, it loses it. It's pretty. People, I'm sure, like pink flowers, but the combination is much better for buds with the flowers of the lupin. And even things like, I heard Steve say, wow, I've never seen the pods on this vernal sweet pea. There they are, vernal sweet pea with these beautiful little pods on it after the flowers have done.
I didn't see it in our yard. I've seen it at other locations, but that's the first time in our yard.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous little pod.
Yeah.
And how do you even begin to describe to people what Heuchera villosa, our native alum root coral bell, looks like? I mean, look at the blending of colors in that leaf.
And the picture does not do it justice.
Uh,
It really doesn't.
Beautiful as we make the pictures and try to get the best one, they're nothing like seeing the real thing. Continuing with the everything at once, we had a question about which weeping cherry we were talking about. And you may remember we were talking about a weeping crabapple tree, and I showed you that you can just look for images, just Google images and see what kinds of things come up. Do the same thing with weeping cherry, and I think yeah, what? Wait. Okay. I think when we were talking about the weeping cherry, it was because a cherry had gotten to be 35 or 40 years old and it wasn't really performing as well anymore, and they wanted another one but weren't sure which one to get. There are two kinds of cherries. If it's weeping, a weeping and dwarf cherry, then either it's a Kwanzan dwarf or it's a Yedoensis, or what is the Yedoensis called? Well, there's two species that it could be. This is the Kwanzan cherry. Kwanzan cherries, most of them are upright in habit, growing like this, and all of those cherries that are in the Washington tidal basin in Washington, D.C., those are Kwanzan type cherries. There is one weeping form of Kwanzan, but it goes up quite a ways and then weeps. It's a bigger tree than some of them. We told you about snow fountains and pink fountains. Now, I can't find pink fountains anywhere, and I swear it exists. But snow fountain is a white dwarf weeping cherry, whereas the Kwanzans gets to be 20, 25, 30 feet tall, or can. These littler weeping cherries, the Yedoensis weeping cherries, are more like 10 or 12 feet, and sometimes grafted to a standard they can be even smaller. So you see snow fountain, all these true weepers here. Now snow fountain is it is a true weeper. It is small, and its flowers are fragrant. The flowers aren't fragrant. The white snow fountains, the flowers are single. There's lots of them, but they're single, and they do make fruit, little tiny black things that drop off, black berries that drop off. The Kwanzan, which gets to be bigger, is a double pink, and it doesn't set fruit. It's sterile. So there are lots of different things to choose from. There are many, many, many kinds of weeping cherries, but these are the two you're most likely to find. The snow fountains, and if you can find the pink fountains, it's out there someplace, and Kwanzan. The weeping Kwanzan is just called pendula or pendulous or hanging. And that's a Kwanzan. They go up and then weep. This is one that I'm cutting back to be smaller. You can see where I've been taking off big branches in order to make it back to be smaller again.
Yep, so
And this is one of the true Yedowensis weeping, small or dwarf weeping cherries. And this happens to be, I think, next door to the person who asked the question about which cherry. You do have to watch out for all of these grafted cherries that they don't sucker from the trunk or from below the graft. See this piece coming up straight? That belongs to the genes of the straight trunk, not to the weeper. And you've got to watch for those things on the weepers. Okay, still everything at once. We've been talking about this wonderful hydrangea called Haas Halo, and we have had a champion running around for us because we couldn't find it anywhere. The Mount Cuba Center for Horticulture on the East Coast did a study of our wild hydrangeas, our native hydrangeas. That's the snowball and the lace cap hydrangeas, to see which were most visited by most types of pollinators. And they gave us a rundown, I think 4 years ago now, might have been longer. Haas Halo, our native hydrangea, not floriferous with the big white flowers like you see in Incredible and some of these others. It has more of the fertile flowers. This one beat the others hands down and was a wonderful hydrangea. Well, we couldn't find it anywhere. Last year, one of our Chris, who might be here tonight, found one for me by mail, which was really nice of her to do. But this year, Carol Petard called around and found that John Steinkoff at Steinkoff Nursery, this is third generation nursery going on here. It's a wonderful place in Farmington, Michigan. John said, I know where I can get those, and he's already ordered them. He has a dozen in. So if you're one of the people who are looking for Haas Halo, get yourself down before they get snapped up to Steinkoff Nursery in Farmington, or give them a call, say, hang on to one of those for me, because there they are. John said, I don't understand what the big deal is. Why are people looking for this? He said, when it first came out, we had them, but then people weren't asking for it. I said, well, that was before Mount Cuba showed what a great pollinator plant it is, and that says how much people are paying attention to pollinators, doesn't it? People are also wondering if they should try seed that they've got in the boy, this is old, I wonder if it'll sprout. Put it on a piece of wet paper towel that you fold it in half, spread the seed on it, fold the towel over again, so now you've folded your paper towel into quarters, slide the whole thing into a sandwich baggie, mark the outside with the date that you put it in there, and look at what it says on the packet about usually takes 2 weeks to germinate, or 3 weeks to germinate, or 7 to 10 days to germinate. Mark that on there and put that baggie either in that nice 70-degree warm space, doesn't need light, a warm space, or maybe it'll say it needs to be in the refrigerator for 30 or 60 days. Do that. Then you just take it out at the end of that time, open up the toweling, and see how many have germinated. If half of them have germinated, that's seed well worth using. Sow it at twice the rate, but now you can use it. And that's very easy to check your seed that way. Neighbors and 3 email owners all seem to have had the same problem where they've taken out an old tree, haven't taken the whole stump out, want to put a new tree. How close can I plant it? We don't have pictures to show you this. You're going to have to guess how long it takes until the stump rots. It'll rot fast if the place is moist and you've got a lot of exposed wood surface. It's slower if it's dry and if all you've got is one cut, just exposing the inside of the wood and the bark's all intact. What you need to do is say, okay, this is going to rot, and when it rots, it'll be out of the way of the new trunk. But if it's still there when the new trunk gets to it, it will impede the growth like a girdling root. So you look at your new plant, and if it's going to grow 12 inches a year, that's an average growth rate. If it's going to grow 12 inches a year on the end of each branch, its trunk is probably going to get a ½ inch bigger in diameter. So you can look and say, okay, I got 2 inches between the new old trunk and the new trunk. That'll give me maybe 4 years to get rid of this old stump, which you can encourage to rot by exposing more wood surface, peel the wood off, drill holes in it. And by the way, those products that you can buy that say drill holes, pour this in the stump, and they don't, unless you add lots of water, they're not going to do much anything for you. You're better off just to keep it moist and keep it broken up. And thank you. We were talking last week about Steve's and my conundrum. We need something gold with gold foliage to put into the backyard in a particular place that's opened up. And we don't want it to be a hosta, and we weren't thinking of anything good. And lo and behold, here comes Priscilla and Julia saying, what about what's Hypericum called? St. John's wort that grows low on the ground like a ground cover. This is called Hypericum calicinum, or creeping St. John's wort. Gets a yellow flower later in the year.
Ooh.
This is Brigadoon, the gold-leafed Hypericum or St. John's wort. And yes, we used to grow this a long time ago. Now we
Yeah. How did we not remember that?
That's going to be perfect there. And this is why gardeners talk to each other. We forget these plants, even ones we've grown before. So thank you, Priscilla and Julia. We also got to talking last week, I think it was, about should I pull rhubarb off or cut it to harvest? It started when we were talking about the rhubarb in our old zoo garden. If the plant is growing, you're best to pull it off because you're pulling the whole leaf off, snapping the leaf off of the crown. And it leaves less stubble. Less stubble means there's less places for decay and less places for moisture and insects to hide out. What used to happen with the production, where they would dig up the crown of a rhubarb and keep them in a root cellar so that they could harvest it much earlier, they would cut those because those weren't going back in the ground. So if you're taking it off your plant out in the garden, pulling is the better way to go. Critters are coming. We talked about this last week, that things are happening because there's new foliage, and that means smorgasbord, means salad bars out there for the leaf eaters. Hydrangea leaf tire is still working on it. There's still more of them that have been laid and hatched out, and so if you see the distorted leaf tops, take them off, get rid of them. Can't spray inside that to kill anything, but you could use a systemic. Please don't do that if you don't have to. They're little tiny guys. You can squash them. You can click them off. So if you're going to check back with this, the hydrangea leaf tire that ties together the top leaves, you just continue monitoring for anything that's knit together, tip growth, and remove it. Just clip the tip off. Box tree moth caterpillars are out there right now, and they are about as big as a standard safety pin, which is just pretty much full grown. The next thing that these are going to do is they're going to stop eating and they're going to pupate, and the moths are going to come out and lay another generation, and there's going to be even more of them. So what you're either going to do is hand pick them, and if you look there, they're not all that easy to spot even when they're big and have done their damage. Or you can spray to kill them using an insecticidal soap. The prepared soaps they have the same ingredient that flea and tick sprays do for your dogs and cats. Or you can use a contact insecticide. A lot of those insecticides that kill bees and wasps and whatever would kill these. Or you can use a systemic insecticide, something that you pour on the plant and the plant absorbs it, and when the insect eats the plant, they get poisoned. Or you can remove the boxwood. And I'll tell you, it's what I did this week. After playing around with killing them and thinking about whether or not I want to tackle another plant that I'm going to have to monitor closely in the spring and keep these things from eating because we know that they're going to be around, I said, you know what? I'm out of it. I bagged the boxwood and sent them with the regular household trash to go to the landfill. The extension does say to double bag them. I don't think that's necessary. Put them in a bag, close the bag. If they can get out of a compactor trash truck and blow around, I'm going to be really surprised. Another thing that's just hatched out this time of year because new leaves are out. See that little guy right there? That little guy right there is a 4-line plant bug, and that's the first instar, the first nymph. They've just hatched out. You can almost see through them when you're looking in the right light. And they are stinging the leaf, sucking the sap, and leaving these pock marks, mostly in the top leaves. They like the fresh, newest foliage, and they eat a lot of different kinds of plants. If you see them, squash them. Or you can spray them if you want. They tend to duck under the leaves, and it's hard to get them all. But you can squash them. There it is. That's how big they are right now. And if you squash them now, each one you squash is 30 or 50 less that you'll have to squash later on, because that next generation starts getting big, especially once they get fully grown and they don't look red anymore. They've got green leaf covers, and they can fly and they take off. Which app for plant ID? People have been asking about this, and I was referred again to an article. This one was by a Illinois extension gardener, which should use, so far, the ones that I've read, extension agents in Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan independently have tried different plant ID programs, and they've all settled on Picture This. Picture This is easy to use. It's free. It's a free download. You take a picture, you drag the picture into the app, or you open the app and take the picture right then. And as long as you try to take a picture of an identifiable leaf and flower, or leaf or flower, you get a pretty good take on it. They're not ever going to be completely right. These things can get fooled, but they are a big help. And weed wars going on right now. Those of you who, like me, can get kind of down about how many years you have to fight a weed. This is false helleborine, Epipactis. It is a very persistent weed, but I know now when I pull it up, and I know that they're going to break the surface right about the time that we have the leaf drop, the seed drop of the non-fertilized leaves off of the maple, so you get the little ones coming down. This used to be about 6 inches down, and it's only 4 inches down now. And it's got less root mass for each one of these. I said, I'm beating this. I'm getting smaller, weaker plants each year, and you just got to keep up with it. You're winning if they get smaller. I consider it a win when I get most or all of the dandelion root. My grass, my lawn right now, which is full of dandelions, looks a lot like the goats and the pigs have been out pawing it up and rooting it up with their noses because I've been out there. But if I'm going to dig a dandelion, I'm going to dig the whole dandelion, and I've dug a lot of dandelions this week. You're winning if you can just get most of the root and understand how they grow. And yeah,
Margaret has a hand up.
Okay. Go for it, Mark. Is that Margie? I should get my participants menu down where I can read.
Okay, hi, you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I have Picture This, and it starts out being free, but if you use it continuously, then you have to pay for it every year. It's not expensive, but I think it's like $5. I don't think it's a month or a year, but I don't know. But I use it. I love that app, but it's not. People use it and then they cancel it and then they reorder it and go back and forth, and that way you can get it free probably. But I don't want to go through that trouble.
Thank you, Margie. Thank you very much. I'm glad to know that.
Okay.
All right. Keep in mind when you're weeding and you're fighting weeds, people, that if you want things to spread, we have Uncle Axel's lupin beginning to bloom in here. See the blues and the purples and the occasional, who are you? What are you doing in there? Pink one. Uncle Axel didn't like the pink ones. They're just beginning to bloom now. It's a biennial. In order for me to have them blooming each year, every year, I need to let some of those, just a few of them, set seed and create these plants. There's little ones here and here and here. They're not going to bloom this year. They're going to bloom next year. And in order for them to sprout, I have to leave some ground that's not heavily mulched and that I haven't weeded out. So if you want to have things that sow themselves, or you want plants that are spreading, that you want to allow to spread, then you are going to have to deal with weed situations at least on the seeding level, for a little longer. You leave a space where you don't mulch heavily, or you mark where you put the seeds. This is our perennial lupin. Uncle Axel's lupin is the non-native Lupinus polyphyllus, many-leafed lupin. It's from Eurasia. It's naturalized all over the Great Lakes. And we grow that, but we also grow, this is our native lupin, which you might notice the bees like more. There we go. It's much shorter. What is it? A foot tall, Steve?
Yeah.
maybe a
Yeah,
foot.
roughly around there.
Yeah, that's a young plant. This is now later with a bigger group of leaves. And here it is with the Dianthus Baths Pink. See how nice it looks with those purple seed pods in front of it? But those are all going to open to a light pink color, which is not going to be quite as arresting. Pretty, but not quite as arresting. So you do have to think about letting seeds grow. If you've got a good garden, things are going to grow in it. That's the way it is. Okay, any questions that we need to get this?
Yeah. Do you think ivory soap will work on four-line plant bug, Teresa asks?
We used oil soap on four-line plant bug. Oil soap and what, did we put something else in with it? Oil soap. Oh
Yeah,
no,
we put the kids out there and let them squash
yeah,
them.
we did, and they told us to get the grandkids to do it. I said, boy, trying to pin down those grandkids for something. No, I'm thinking about when we used a fungicide and we put baking soda in. Yeah, Murphy's oil soap and water and ivory soap and water should work on the plant bugs too. It's easy to find out. Squirt a few of them and see if they die. You might have to trap them inside to see if it happens. Don't worry about peonies and ants, by the way. The ants are just there collecting. There's a fluid. Our standard peony, standard herbaceous peony, is Peonia lactiflora, meaning milky flower, because as the sepals peel away and the flower opens, there's a milky substance there, and the ants are just collecting that and running away with it. They're not making it bloom. They don't ensure that it's going to bloom. They're not hurting anything. But if you want to bring that peony in as a cut flower, you're going to want to shake it off first once in tight bud, and it's easiest to get rid of the ants because they like to be there.
Judith has a hand up.
Okay, Judith, go for it.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep,
Yep.
Hi, thank you.
that is the
Okay,
cutest picture
speaking of
you.
weeds,
Yeah.
that's from several years ago. I think it was during Snowmageddon, where we got like 115 inches of snow in a month.
It was awful that month. My sister was, and I think she had broken her foot. It was just like you couldn't ask for more things to happen. Snowmageddon.
Okay, so my particular weed nemesis right now are wood sorrel and chickweed, and I'm trying to deal with weeds and really incompetent lawn care by getting rid of the lawn, the grass to a degree, and replacing it with wildflowers and clovers. However, I have to say that it looks as if the chickweed and
And the oxalis.
and wood sorrel are might be winning the game. I'm trying to pick them out by hand, but there are just too many of them.
It is so
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
to do. It is so hard because they're such small things and they've been there for long enough to have scattered a lot of seed on the soil. I share your frustration because I look down and go, oh, there they are again, pour a gazillion of them. But I mulch heavily in the open areas that I can mulch. I pick by hand to get them out of there, and if you just keep at it, you can. The chickweed, it's most important to get it now before it blooms, and make sure you weed it out in the fall because it's a winter weed. It starts in the winter.
Oh.
The sorrel is a perennial that's spreading with running roots, and you need to loosen and take all those roots out. So if I get a lot of that yellow wood sorrel in things, I tend to lift the whole area, clean out the roots, and put things back in to get a start on taking care of it. But I can't tell you that you can do much more than that, except say, boy, that's a pretty plant. Maybe I should keep it.
Well, they're really pretty right now. They're kind of cute.
Yeah, they
And
are.
they're green,
Yeah, well,
but I know what they're going to look like in a month.
yeah. Well, they weave in and out of things, and I call it visual static. I said, no, I wanted that plant because it looked like this, and you're kind of changing the look of the plant, poking up all through those different places. So I have more visual arguments with them than anything else. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm trying to uh, stifle any existing seeds in my new garden plots, but I'm really afraid that they're just going to seed into it the moment that the
Right, you have to try to keep them from going to seed now, but bear in mind that that seed has been building up in the soil for a long time. It's there. It's going to keep coming for a while. Yeah, sorry about that. Now, we've gotten a little bit further along than I wanted to get because we wanted to leave John an entire 45 minutes and he might not be able to get this in. So, if it's all right with all of you, if you've got questions, Steve and I are always willing to stay later, or you can drop us an email and we'll answer you individually because we'd like you to listen to what John Keast has to say. It's quite remarkable what you can do with some bales of straw, where you didn't think that you had room for another garden. You got it now. Is that enough of a lead in, John, that you can
Boy,
introduce
that
yourself?
was really good.
Okay,
Thank you for the
and
description of myself.
I'm gonna stop my share then and
Okay.
let you pick your share option and open that picture back up. Yeah, John and I talked about straw bale gardening because one of the people that I know and volunteer with had said, "Oh, you should see about this stuff." And John has a great presentation. I said, "Well, then good. Tell us about it." Because right now is the weekend to get out there and do something, do more. I'm thinking I can get past the rule in my neighborhood that we're not supposed to have vegetable gardens in the front yard. But if I put them on straw bales, I can say they're not in the front yard, they're in straw bales. Okay,
Thank you, Janet.
yep.
Uh, I just want everyone to know that just by tuning into your program tonight, it will change your life.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know it's a major thing. I was driving down the road the other day with my friend, and there was a straw bale out in the middle of the field. And we got about a quarter mile down the road. I asked her, "Did you see that straw bale?" And she had no idea that it was right there. So
Did you go
whenever
back
you
and
drive down the road and you see a straw bale on someone's front lawn or on the road, you're going to say, you won't know, remember me, you won't remember where you heard it, but you're going to go back and get that straw bale. It does happen.
I can see the police reports now.
Oh, yeah. You got to ask the people maybe if there's somebody around, but yeah. So, yeah, we was talking about no weeds growing. Well, in a straw bale, we have no weeds, but I'll give you this introduction here. Straw bale gardens. This Joel Karsten, he invented it. He realized that you could grow your crops. He used to be a farmer, and he couldn't figure out why the weeds were growing so good where the straw bales were all apart. So he went to school and everything, and he realized that you could plant a garden in a regular straw bale. It's just a container, and the straw inside is just saying, making the conditions for you to plant in it. It's very inexpensive. The price of a straw bale has gone down this year.
That's good
It's
to
a
hear.
raised bed garden. You don't have to bend down. I had surgery 3 times now, and I had a friend help me, and I had knee surgery, open heart surgery, hip surgery, and that you put a patio chair right next to the straw bale, and you got it done.
All right.
So that it works out pretty good.
I see the strings, the cord that's holding the bale together is on the sides.
Yeah, this is a very important. When you have a straw bale, you will see it online that they flip it with the strings up, but that will not do it. You have to put it up on its side so you don't cut the strings when you're putting your plants in. We're trying to get this thing to go on, but that's very important. When you go out to buy a straw bale, make sure it's tight, and they'll throw it down from a barn, from wherever they got it stored at. But you're actually shaking up the straw bale because you need compaction in that straw bale. So you have to, before you even say anything, you can just say, "Hey, could you be careful of it?" They won't like that, but you do have to do that. And so it's a refeed garden. There's no weeds in a straw bale at all. The way the farmers harvest it, they just take the top off for the grain, and they leave the stem there.
The
And so
the
that's
top
how you get it. Yes,
the tops make the hay bale, right? You don't want a hay bale. That's got seeds in it. You
right.
want
Hay
straw.
bales, it's a totally different crop. The hay will let's see what I'm going to say here. We have all kinds of weeds in it because they just cut the stems down and they wrap it up for cattle feed. So I mean, if you accidentally use one, you could use it, but you're going to have a lot of seeds in it. Um, the straw holds a lot of moisture, obviously. I mean, you put one out there with some water in it, you won't be able to move that at all. So you have to be very careful where you initially put it in your garden. And I want to encourage people to give you a lot of questions because this is a hands-on thing. This isn't something that you can read over and over. If you know how to do it, you got it.
I
There's
like,
lots of airspace in the straw bale. That's what it's all about, is for your roots. And as you go along, the nutrients are created from, it's a compost in your bale, actually. There's already bacteria inside your straw bale. So when the bacteria starts eating it, that's how you get your soil. You don't have to put any soil on unless you put seed on top. Then you got to put the soil on top. It's flexible and movable. You can put it where you want to put it. You can put it on your driveway. You don't have to worry about what's underneath your.
I like that. I got full sun on the driveway where I don't have full sun anyplace else.
Exactly. I mean, there's beautiful. I got some pictures of my friend who put up his straw bale right on his driveway, and it worked out pretty good. You can grow it in a parking lot. Uh, the biggest thing is, one of the better things are better airflow when it's off the ground. The wind, which I didn't really take in consideration much, kind of blows around the bacterial off the insects off your plant, and it makes them stronger because the stems are going back and forth all the time.
Moving in the wind, yeah.
Yeah, so you can walk around the bale to see if anything's happening, which is really good. You don't have to get on your hands and knees. And a lot of people put soakers on there so you don't have to wet the leaves, soaker hoses. If you go first class, you just run a soaker hose out there. And it's easier to see the problems because it's a raised height. You just walk around the straw bale. You don't have to get down on your hands and knees and look up underneath the leaf or anything like that. Uh, it heats up fast and promotes faster root production because you're composting down. And you can usually, this is important, you can leave a straw bale you can use it for two years. I get 3, and that's where my radishes and potatoes go into. Now, the most important thing here is conditioning.
After the third year, are you able to just use it as mulch?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You just use it at mulch, tear it apart, and potatoes are good at it because when you tear it apart, you get your potatoes real easily. But the main thing is conditioning. You have to have 10 to 12 days for this process to work. You still got time this year. You can use nitrogen, or you can use in organic nitrogen, but it takes a lot more of organic material, 3 times as much, and you don't really know what percent nitrogen is in that organic. A lot of people use them,
So
and
you're wetting the bale with one of the liquid fertilizers, maybe?
no, this regular lawn fertilizer, you water it in with the water,
Okay.
and then you make a little hole in the straw bale for the little kernels to go inside the straw bale. And especially if it's brand new, the second year you don't have to do any of this because everything's already set to go. But so you sprinkle your nitrogen on. I just want to make sure I can't show you the thing, but the company itself who does it professionally, they make their own organic and inorganic nitrogen, and it's like $21 for 4 bales for the inorganic one for this pure nitrogen. For the organic, it takes a little bit more money you only get 1 bag for 1 bale because it takes so much more to put on your bale.
I'll have to look and see what type of fertilizer what the fertilizer ingredients are, what the formula is, and maybe we can find one that we can use that's like it here.
Yeah, you can use lawn fertilizer. You just gotta have to look on the back of the bag and see what percent is um, quickly dissolve instead of long term. I lost the word.
Yeah. That you want the water soluble
You
stuff.
want to put much nitrogen in the beginning as possible, and the higher the number on the bag, usually it means that it's more ready to go right away for lawn
So
because you want to.
you add the fertilizer and then wet it in, or what do you?
Yeah, each day there's a formula, and it's pretty common everywhere now. But the first day you use a half a cup. It's not much, a half a cup, and you spread it. You don't just throw it on. You use a shaker, some type of salt shaker, something like that. Make your own out of a plastic container, and you shake it on there, a half a cup if you're using traditional fertilizer. And
Uh-huh.
you go all the way over to the edge of you cover the whole surface because you can put vegetables and things on the side of your straw bale, but that's a little harder to do. But make sure you put the fertilizer all the way to both edges. And the second day you can skip it, but you water it. With all the rain we've been having, it's been great for straw bale gardening this year. And this happens for 10 days. On the 10th day, you should put 10, 10, 10 fertilizer for your plants. But
Not until you put the plants in there. Does it heat up pretty quickly? Like 3 or 4 days?
sometimes it does, and I haven't had any problems once it starts going. And you always have to check to make sure if you put a plant in there, it's not too hot because it can get to 120 degrees right in the beginning.
So are you talking like hot? Your hand can tell that it's
Yes, oh, absolutely. You can feel it. You can put a temperature gauge in there. I put a temperature gauge in there, but I've seen people, just wipe out their plants. And I wasn't sure if it was because it's too hot. 'Cause I failed to say that to everybody. But yeah, you have to watch it. Definitely have to watch it. Sometimes it's just beautiful, and you don't have to worry about it. Will cook your plants.
Can I use something like a meat thermometer? If
Yeah, that's what I use. I use
okay.
it. My
I
I
know
use my what
Steve won't let me steal his, but I could just go buy one.
I steal my wife's, but yeah, no, I mean it doesn't really happen all the time, but it's just something that you'd be concerned about because you're actually composting that straw bale down. And you can almost plant almost anything in there except for sweet corns because the roots is so big that it would just break apart your straw bale.
Right, and your rhubarb and asparagus are huge too. Huge root systems and huge plants.
But you can put vegetables in. So this is the benefits of it. No weed seeds. That's the good part. No heavy work, no tilling, any of that stuff for your garden. Not too wet. If you put too much water in it, just comes out the bottom. Uh, Prevention of bugs with the airflow. There's not too much diseases because it's above the ground and the wind is blowing, and so I haven't had hardly any diseases on any of my plants. Not so fast. And let's see. In the second year straw bales, you can put a little plastic tarp over it, and you get a very early start on your straw bale if it's
Oh,
already been conditioned.
oh, cool.
And
So you can
you can
see a bunch
productive
of
plant the tops and sides. Sides are a little harder unless you put that nitrogen all the way over to the edge. Okay. This is your typical picture of a straw bale garden. No, go back to the next one. This is, you have to be where you put your straw bale. You got to make sure there's no weeds around it, so it grows into your straw bale.
uh,
So the posts are for security. So the plants, when you pull those wires straight and real tight, you don't want to pull in the post. That's why they got the piece of wood up there. Not necessarily to begin with, but you can just use tomato cages, but tomatoes grow real fast in those things and it gets real tall. So that's how I did mine for a while. But then it kind of shakes up your straw bale too because it gets heavier. And they use a Florida weave on the wire. I'm not sure if you know what the Florida weave is. It's
no.
like two wires right on top of each other, and they just wind the wire down on top of one all the way down to each post. And then you got a loop in between where you got the loop, and that's where when your crops start growing, you just put it through the hole in the weave, and
Oh,
that's how you
okay.
you go all the way to the top like that. And that worked out pretty good. I went to that. I used the tomato cages and everything first. And you can see the flowers planted on the outside of the straw bale.
I can see the double wires down in the bottom right corner near the tomato plant that's down there. I can see that there's two wires and you could push things up between the two of them.
Yeah,
And I can
you can.
barely see it on the next level. It looks
They
like,
recommend the first two, and then the 3 and 4. You can just put one wire and maybe tie it on there, but
uh-huh.
I don't think there's that much. And you don't have to use wire. You can use rope or anything you want. And I use just the strings from off my old straw bales.
That's one thing about putting them on the driveway. If I want to put them on the driveway, which is where I would definitely want them to go, I could put a stake on the side at the edge of the driveway where the lawn starts. But I might have to come up with something to support the other.
Yeah, you can make a little platform. My friend put a platform in there as a base, and they got straw mulched in between the straw bales. So that's your typical one right here. Okay. Community gardens, usually they put them where the soil's pretty bad at. And community garden really because you don't have to go there and pull weeds every time. This is a typical straw bale garden at a community garden.
Wow.
A lot of straw bales, and I'm not sure where they got the straw bales at, but you don't have to pull weeds. They got mulch down in between. This is the showing the probably tomato plant growing up through the wires there, and then that one's pretty good. It's already to the top of the wood almost. This is probably your second year one where you got the it's
Ronnie.
really they still got the plastic there, and you can wrap the plastic through the wires, and then you try to wrap it real tight around the whole bale so the heat stays in it during a frost or little cold nights. This is your typical start. They got weed inhibitor there on the ground. I don't like that, but you can see the cut side is up on most of them. You can't quite see. There's a better picture, but the cut side on the right one there is really good. You can see they look like straws, and when you look down at it, that's how the water and the nitrogen gets into the straw bale.
Wow. That's a pretty lush growth there.
Judith has a question. Do you have to condition every year
No,
you
just the first
use
year.
the bale?
Nope, just the
Will
first
seeds
year, and then
germinate? Oh, sorry.
you can add a little fertilizer in there just to make up for what was lost. But no, you don't. Second year, you're good to go.
Will seeds germinate in it, or do you always have to use seedlings?
No, you can use seedlings and you can put seeds in. I like seeds better, but you gotta put some soil on top, potting soil on top, like 2 inches thick, and you plant your seeds that way. And it's kind of easy to plant seeds because you're in your patio chair trying to enjoying yourself putting the seeds down. I planted some cucumbers a week ago, and they're already coming up. And some cucumbers are hard to transplant. They have a pretty shock value. So if you grow seeds, that's better because they're already used to the soil there and everything. This is where the strings that they use that was already on the straw bales at a different time.
Oh, I just reuse the cord.
Yeah, it's just
Very good.
and I think these people are protecting from the deer. I have had a cheap fence around mine, but I haven't had much problems with the deer. I like to add that at 1%, like 93% of your caterpillars crawl along the ground, and they don't know what's on top of your straw bale. So you don't have as much insect damage because once they try to climb up on the straw bale, they get poked to death and everything else. So I haven't had I haven't had many insects on mine.
John, excuse me again. A
Yes.
while back, you had some wood attached to the metal post. How was that
Yeah.
wood attached?
Well, it's pretty easy. You just drill a hole through the wood, and then you stick some wire through the hole, and then you just wrap it around the post.
And it's just a spacer to keep the post
Yeah,
from bending
it's just
inward
a
when
spacer,
the
and
wire's tight.
a little easier to walk down the aisles when you can hang on to something when you get a little shaky.
Oh, none of us are shaky, John.
I know, but boy, it
There's
sure
no
does
shaking
help.
going on.
The wind's blowing. Let's just say the wind's really blowing. You can just,
That
Let,
that
let's just say we're jigging along, dancing to our music.
that
yeah, yeah,
that
that sounds better.
that
Yeah.
previous picture, John, it looked like they had maybe
Go back to the
surrounded
last one.
old bales. Did they surround old bales with new bales?
Uh,
See, it's real
yeah,
wide.
you can, if you got an old one and it's maybe not last too long, then you can put new ones right along the side of it.
Yeah, that's what it looks like they did here. So they've got an even.
Yeah, that's what I did. I mean, it's really, really hard to let your old straw bales go down. So you try to use them as long as possible and it's there, and you can always use them for potatoes. And then you got in Tractor Supply, you can get the hoop house there, and and they're pretty cheap for $35. And you can tie your vines on there, and you can have the vine growing with the vegetables hanging down.
Yeah, I
I
could have
haven't
a good
I
sized
haven't got
vegetable
to
garden
that
on my
point yet.
driveway. Good sized vegetable garden on my driveway coming up. I don't
You
think
can
the
see
rules apply to driveways.
you can see they got some stands there, but maybe not for tomatoes. Yeah, they got some regular stands there in the bale. But yeah, no, that looks pretty good. You can put two of them together back to back, but then if you get real good, you're just eliminating one on the side that you might be able to plant, but it's not a big deal. And if you got two right next to each other, you can water it, and you just don't want to get three because you might have a hard time trying to look at everything.
Trying to reach everything, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be okay. Go ahead. This is your typical one. This is great because it's already a raised bed, and obviously they take care of it. They got wood chips down and everything, and it's already separated from your lawn, and that's that's about the best thing you can do. And you don't have to have straw bales will try to gather up after a while, but you only need like four of them just to start with and see if you like it. I think Janet, you know what these are better than I am.
That's a lot of zucchini.
Yeah,
That's big of a zucchini. Wow,
they
that's
work really good. Zucchinis really grow good in straw bales, but you have to figure out where they're going to go to. This is in France. They made a demonstration garden at the botanical place there, and they got all straw bales all lined up,
oh,
going up
they use
going
them
up a hill, down a hill.
like brick retaining walls.
Yeah, and that's just another picture of it. And this is what set off a lot of people to do it in France and overseas is
I think I
Kim.
read about this being done on the roofs in subtropical areas because there's flat roofs on a lot of those houses and they could be growing things up there.
Yeah, the author he went to Cambodia. The government asked him to come to Cambodia and show the natives how to make straw bales out of the rice stems because the
Ah,
rice stems and are the same as our straw bale stems. And they have to, he made a compactor for the stems. You have to compact it down real good, and they did. And the government wanted the Cambodian natives to be able to grow their own food, and it really worked out good. This isn't a picture of that.
so these are being conditioned now? That's the darker
These are good.
stuff.
Yeah, they're all cut side. They're all cut. You can see how rough they are, and they're probably being watered down and
And
some fertilizer
when
on
you
them.
plant a plant in there, do you just kind of stick a trowel in and pry it like
Yeah,
straw?
right. You have to. And initially it's hard because the first year, second years they drop right in, but the first year you have to kind of dig around in it and pull out some straw and put a shovel in, depending on how big it is. But this would look like this was they planted some soil in this one, and that's from seed on this picture here.
Spinach and lettuce, cabbage,
Yeah.
lots of cool stuff. We're running up close to 8. A lot of times people stay later, so
Yeah, I
but
want to make sure I get all the questions in though.
that's what I was going to say.
Barb,
Any questions?
Barbara's asking, can you use straight feather meal, cottonseed meal, or blood meal as an organic nitrogen source to condition instead of synthetic lawn fertilizer?
Yeah, but it stinks if they're used to it already, and then they have to use about 3 times as much. I'm not sure how much. It's good though. Yeah, you can, but you have to be careful because that
Yeah,
stuff really.
it's like with all organic fertilizers. It takes more since an organic fertilizer might be 3% or 6%
Right.
nitrogen, whereas the inorganic manufactured ones might be 20%. It takes a lot more weight of organic matter. But if you use the fertilizer charts, we've got them online and other people have them, and just figure out how much, if they're telling you to put a cup of 20 or 2000 lawn fertilizer on, you might need to put 5 cups of a dried cow manure on to equal that amount of nitrogen. But it's a straight math equation on both packages to figure out, okay, how much do they say?
Yeah, chicken manure is probably the highest. Like
Yeah, chicken manure.
it's like 10 to 11% maybe, but you have to have the old stuff. You can't use new stuff, or else you can get very sick. So
Well,
you have to.
you also get the dogs. They know I used an organic fertilizer. Ooh, what's this? Where was I? I just was. Oh, I was at the neighbor helping the neighbor plant a garden, and I used the last of a bag of Happy Frog organic fertilizer, and I turned around and there's my dog snuffling
Oh
around.
yeah,
I mean,
that's for sure. I'm just gonna go through these pictures kind of quick here for everybody.
Judith's asking, are they rabbit resistant? I'm not sure what she.
I haven't had any problems because the rabbits, they're 2 feet off the ground already, and I haven't had too much problem with the rabbits. But
if they're real
That's good.
hungry, they would get up there. But rabbits don't like to get places where they aren't sure that they can get out of quickly when something swoops down on them. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough.
Yeah, they're kind of wide open, sitting on top of a bale of straw.
Yeah. We might have a rabbit back this year, Steve, because the calendula are getting eaten out on the patio garden,
Oh,
nipped off, and it's not a deer doing it.
okay.
We need to invite our fox back in.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Oh,
and you can always plant annuals in it, make it look really pretty, and they'll be the last ones to die in November. So annuals are kind of makes it a little bit brighter instead of just seeing a decaying straw bale.
You don't end up with a lot of straw that you don't have any place to put when you're using it as mulch after after the bale disintegrates.
No, it's perfect soil, and you can use the soil that you are in the bales for your seed starter the following year because it's really good soil. So you can just use the soil that you have in the straw bale as soil.
I am so tempted.
It's only a straw bale, you can kick it over if you fail.
Yeah.
the woodchucks would be able to stand on its back legs and eat or just climb up on it. And then you may have to fence a little bit higher to keep the
Yeah,
deer.
oh yeah, for sure. I got woodchucks out here, and I usually get one cage, and
Yeah.
well, that's the end of this. Any other questions? You can get books on it by Joe Carson. He has the best books. There's so many books on it, but he's the inventor of it, and they all copied his book. It's amazing how I mean, how many things can you tell differently about a straw bale, gardening.
How long ago was that, Steve, that
And you can get it at the library. You can get them at the libraries.
we were out at Seed Savers Exchange, Steve, and they were growing in straw bales because it was
Yep.
keeping the tomatoes away from the fungal spores in the ground, and that had to be at least 10 years ago. So it gets
When we were in Scotland too, the hydroponics place had
grown
strawberry.
in straw bales. Yeah, so it might be something that he didn't exactly invent, but he's written it up so that your normal person can figure out how to do it. Love it.
Oh,
Margaret's got a
absolutely.
hand up. Margie, I think.
Hi, forgot your name, John, I think.
Yes.
Um, hi. Are you allowed to say where you buy these bales and how much they cost
Oh,
approximately?
yeah. No, I mean, you can just get them at any garden, grain store, hardware store sometimes, but they usually cost, if you really start looking around, they're down to 650 to 750. The highest would be like $10. And
Oh,
then
okay. That's
with the
not bad.
and you can use them for 2 years.
Yeah. All right.
So
Thank you.
you can use them for 2 years. But
Yeah,
Okay.
that's thank you very much, John. Um, I
We
will.
appreciate it.
Uh-oh.
okay.
Well, that's where I'm supposed to be. Let's see if there's any more questions here.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing right now.
Okay. I'm trying
So
to
there
figure
you
out how to
go.
get there we are. How to get my share back here. Put one of Steve's beautiful pictures up. I wonder if we're going to get any berries off of this viburnum, Steve.
I don't know. They went fast, those flowers.
Yeah, but they say that you have to have a couple of varieties of most viburnums in order
Oh,
to get heavy fruit set, because that sure would be pretty if that would all make pretty red berries on there.
Michelle has a hand up.
Okay, Michelle, we're listening.
Oh, okay. I was intrigued by the tomatoes not getting black spot and various different fungal diseases because of the off the dirt.
Yep,
So you
yep.
don't
So it's
you
like a
don't
big filter between the fungal spores in the soil and further up. By the third year, you might start building some up in the straw bale, but if you're just going to replace them, then you're actually it's like starting in new soil.
It wouldn't go through the air or something like that.
Well, they can go through the air, but there's a certain amount of lift that the spores can do after a rain or in certain heat. And
Yeah.
at Seed Savers, they told us that this was the only way, since they had so many types of seeds that they had to grow out on a regular basis. They have to break the seed out of storage and grow another crop in order to save fresher seed. And when they do that, they even though they've got hundreds of acres, they've got thousands of types of seeds and they're growing things the same without rotation. So they found that they put the tomatoes that were susceptible to stuff on straw bales and it filtered the fungal spores from getting up to the plants so much.
Boy, that's very cool.
Yeah. Judith commented that her local Amway sells big hay bales, but they're about $23. That's hay. You don't want
Oh,
hay.
oh yeah, you don't want hay. Hay is the
You
top
want
of the plant and
straw.
it has the seeds in it. You want straw, which is the second cutting of the field. It's the bottom of the plant. Yeah, yeah, no hay, no hay.
No hay. Remember that.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so now what else have we got to do? Probably, if there are no questions, we can let people head on out into the weekend because it's Memorial Day weekend and everything
Yep.
has to happen. Stay away from that garden center tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday.
Thank
Stay.
you, Janet.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, John,
John.
very, very much. And we'll if we get any more questions, we'll refer them to John and get them back to you guys.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
You are
Thank
a
you
delight.
again.
Thank you very much. And John, tell me, I know that you worked at the school district.
Yeah, I did.
You were doing the landscape for the high schools and all the school complexes, right?
Yeah, I was doing everything: baseball fields, football fields, landscaping.
Yep. How long did you do
Because
that?
I did it for like 16 years.
Jeez. Yep. I tell you,
But
working in public spaces with gardens is a lot different than working in your own place, isn't it? Where you don't really have control over what's going on. You just have to do the best you can.
yeah, schools are, they don't want as much landscaping because then it takes someone to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them are parents really like to take care of the gardening stuff. So, but things
Nice.
change. Budgets are tight now, so it's a lot of things that are
Now,
taken out of budget is just because they have to have it that way.
now that you're retired, do you look back sometimes and think, I can't believe I used to do all that?
Oh yeah, well, it's changed a lot. changed a lot, but I go back to the trees that I always planted. And I said, wow, did they really survive?
That's nice. That's a nice legacy to have, and a great way to keep track of time and say,
Well,
yeah,
I was,
time to
you
make.
know, I was planting some pine trees by myself, big pine trees, and the ball fell apart because it was all sandy.
Uh-huh.
And I'm planting a bare root ball tree, but the one next to it was solid clay, and I just put that one in the hole. But I was so shocked to see, the same tree and everything, but one was real sandy and fell apart before I even got it into the hole.
Which one grew better?
They're both the same. I go back there every year,
Oh,
and
I'll
they're
be darned.
they're both
That's
the
cool.
same.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I go through all the trees, like all the hard work I did, and some things are not as good as they used to be because of things. But yeah, I go mainly the trees because no one's taking down the trees unless they have to. But they
Yeah,
survived, and
yeah.
it was tough. It's tough for trees in the beginning. But I had a good boss. He appreciated watering them every day. I watered those trees almost every day.
It's
That
nice.
makes a difference.
Yeah, the
Oh,
trees stick around, whereas the shrubs and I know that our perennials and our ground covers, they'll be gone. Somebody will take them away, but I'm enjoying them now for sure. And the trees, they'll be there. Got to put them in the right place.
Yeah.
Well, we'll call an end then to this Free for All Friday,
okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
7, and we'll say thank you very much, John Keast.
Okay.
Come back and entertain us another time. We'll be back next week, May 29th. And we won't be back the first Friday in June because the first Saturday in June we have a webinar on clematis coming up. Um, so we'll see you at the next Free for All Friday or at the webinar if you're one of our subscribers. Tell a friend, tell people to come. The more of us that talk, the more we pass information around. And do check. We're working both on the design to change a landscape, and we're starting from scratch with Bonnie Corney's nephew, and we're working on a date early in June to go meet. If you'd like to see what happens with the design from the ground up, that's what you want to get in on, how you figure out what you need to know, how you start planning it, how you design it so that people can follow your design. Watch our calendar page on the website. We'll also send out a notice here to let you know that we've changed those dates, but you need to come and be part of the three-dimensional time changing, shifting of what the real thing is, rather than just waving our hands around and talking on
Yep.
the computer to each other. You guys have a
Okay.
great weekend, and we'll
Ta-ta for now, everybody. Bye-bye.
see you later.